So if anybody is not very clear about this, now let's try to spend some time on this topic. Now, here, in a square bracket, it is written as Vaibhashikas. So, meaning that this assertion, Vasubandhu is saying this assertion regarding non-informative body is something exclusively advocated by the Vaibhasika tradition followers or the realist group. Okay, number one. It's one exclusive statement of the Vaibhasikas. And now, basically, when we were dividing those visible forms, divisions of visible forms, tangible forms, let's say, it was like up to 10. It's easy to understand, isn't it? There are the 5 faculties and the it's used as the, object reference. In it, and the reference or the objects of the 5 faculties are also contents of like what you call now perceivable or tangible form. So we have 10 tangible forms that is easily understandable now, isn't it? Like when you talk about the 5 faculties, the 5 faculties also have some kind of a material presence, substantial presence, we could say that. Like just as in the eye faculty, the Buddha says our eyes have a faculty that really captures the object through its multiple sensorial eye, detecting, object detecting faculty is there, which just looks like a bunch of pistils, flower pistils. Just, it is arranged so finely, and it looks like a kind of so many tiny, tiny lenses just put together. And if you look at it from outside, it looks like it's kind of arranged, very, very finely arranged form of flower pistils. Like if you look into the pistils that are very beautifully arranged, it's like a sunflower. If you look at the sunflower, you will find those very, very flat and smooth surface. But if you look at it from a distance, you just can't really identify. But when you look on it closely, you will find so many pollen, pistils, are just stacked upon each other. And in a similar way, our eye faculty has a physical appearance, though it is very subtle, but still then, you could use some today's even magnifying microscopic tools. And then we can look at how the eye, the pupil of the eye is actually formed. And if you look at it, you will just see it's a kind of a bunch of so many tiny things, tiny little things put together. And they are actually responsible for detecting the objects outside. And that helps to generate the visual interaction with the object. So this way, for the nose, we have some kind of a substantial faculty. We have even for the tongue also, there are some kind of a nerve ends, which is actually called as the taste bud. So the taste buds are actually tiny, tiny nerves actually arranged at the tip of the tongue. And the shape goes on like it creates a crescent shape. across the tongue tip. There are so many nerves responsible for detecting the taste, which then relays the information to the brain, and brain process after that saying, oh, this is a sour taste, sweet taste, and so on. So likewise, we have a faculty that enables us to feel the feet touches. That is a layer of thin layer of soft skin just spread across the entire body. So whichever point of the body you might touch, you will sense a sensation, feel a sensation. That is actually enabled because there is a very, very tiny layer of skin across covering your entire body. And wherever that point is touched or activated, then you get that sense faculties will pick up the message and relay it to the brain. And then you eventually say, like, this is a good touch, smooth touch, bad touch, soft touch, and hard touch, so on. So this way, the five faculties do have some physical appearances, although they are very subtle. If we don't use some kind of a special tools, the subtle faculties are very difficult to detect. For people in the modern times to detect this kind of a subtle things, you can use what you call microscopic equipments, and you could magnify the very, very tiny objects, and then you can study the details of those tiny objects as well through magnifying tools and all. In a similar way, during the Buddha's time, he didn't have to use that kind of a magnifying glass to detect the faculty organs, let's say. He was able to detect them just by using his wisdom eyes. He used all his enlightened eyes, and whatever is hidden to our naked eyes, he was able to see. And what is actually beyond the eyes also, he was able to see. So that was the specialty of him being an enlightened master. So what I'm trying to tell you is five faculties and the objects of the five faculties. Objects of the five faculties, for the eyes, you need to have a form. And without form, the eye faculty can't really detect anything that is outside as a form. So similarly, smell and taste, touches, and everything has to have an object. It needs this faculty. Five faculties actually need to come in contact with their respective objects to produce a sense of consciousness for having detected their private objects. So what is actually detected by the eye is actually eye's private object. It is not to be detected by the faculty of tactile faculty. So therefore, what is unique to the tactile faculty? It's something which cannot be detected by our nasal faculty. So this way, the objects are also very unique, respective to the five faculties. But all in all, the total is actually 10 of them. So all these 10 are actually supposed to possess some form of physicality that could be detected by its individual detectors. The individual detectors here are the five faculties. So based on the five faculties, they can detect their objects easily. So therefore, we have 10 in total, 10 objects or 10 entities that has the some kind of a physical existence. Physical, that has the physicality that could be detected very easily by the five faculties. So they are actually considered to be a part of the form. The forms can be gross forms like our, what is visible to us, like mountains, houses, everything. Those are actually manifestly expressed, a gross form of phenomena, and hence they are, very easy to detect them. And we could also have a subtler form of subtle forms, which needs some kind of a special faculty to detect them as well. So whatever, the 10 are something very easy to digest as well. Now what the Vaivasika or the realist groups are actually asserting here is the presence of something called as the non-informative body. So avishnapti, or this non-informative body, is actually a kind of a body that it doesn't announce or express its own presence. Non-informative means like it is not letting us know. Sometimes actually the translator here has actually chosen this term, non-informative. I haven't seen the word non-informative being, the same, being coined or applied as the same term as avishnapti by other scholars. I have seen some scholars call it as the invisible form. Some, as opposed to visible form, there is an invisible form and undetectable form or detectable form. That kind of words are also used to this. And when I read through the translator's interpretation, saying non-informative is also quite interesting because the presence of this body, it is present, but it will never say I'm here, or it will never let the sense faculties to detect it. It is something that relies on the formative bodies, informative bodies, let's say here. Once you have the non-informative, you also have to have an informative body. Informative means like those which are detectable, those which are visible, those which are expressed, gross, and that kind of entities could be called as informative bodies, informative forms. So the non-informative here, avishnapti particularly, refers to that. It is saying it does exist, though it is not detectable through the five faculties and so on. Now, this is interesting. If I put it in a context, you could understand better now. When we follow the pratimoksha ordination system, it starts from the what we call upasaka, sika, then shraman, or you call shramana, right? Sharaminari, then bhikkhu, bhikkhuni, like that. So now Vaivasika gives some kind of, I think it's kind of a very interesting interpretation to say it here, although it's been negated by the Sautantrika. The scripturalists actually don't accept this. So it is kind of a unique assertion by the Vaivasikas. And why it is so interesting is when we receive these vows, now, as long as this person, the principle of receiving the Buddhist monastic vows or the layperson's vows is such that once you receive the vows and if you don't break them or power of your vows will take care of your meritorious actions now. So a monk or a nun who has received this ordination does not really engage actively in merit making. Like if they happen to be sleeping, or if they happen to be just not doing any very virtuous activities, but not non-virtuous activities. They are just in a kind of a state of neutral, and they are actually doing positive action. So this kind of a people, the teachings say, as long as you have received the vows will keep blessing you with the merits. You will be acquiring merits and the virtues. You don't need to make a kind of do a virtuous action physically or actively. Just for the reason that you have received the vows, by the power of the vows or by the force of the vows, you will be receiving the rainfall of merits. Meaning, like the day you become ordained until the day you give up, abandon your vows. Between that stage, whether you are doing actively some meritorious actions or just lazing around without doing anything properly, any particular form of merit making or whatever that is related to the Dharma, you are just lazing around. Still then, the teachings say you will be receiving, your merits will be increasing, because the power of the vows keeps you being blessed all the time. As long as you keep the vows, regardless of your active actions, meritorious actions or not, you still obtain the blessings of merit making. Your merit accumulation keeps increasing. Even if you're sleeping, even if you're lazing around. But the point is, you must ensure that you don't break your vows. So not breaking the vows eventually really lets you to have increasing kind of merit making all the time. The accumulations will just keep increasing all the time. So a monastic, the day he or she receives the monastic ordination, until the day she or she passes away, till that time, you don't have to do any significant merit making. Of course, if you do, it is a big bonus for you. But even if you are not doing anything at all, just by the blessings of making that promise and not breaking that promise, you will acquire huge amount of accumulations, merit accumulations. So that is the general understanding about the merits and how the promises that we make guards our guards our accumulations from declining or getting exhausted. So said that our merits can be exhausted if you are not doing anything to further or intensify or to make your merit making larger or extensive. They are subjected to exhaustion. But then if you have this, you have received this monastic ordination, then definitely you are, despite the fact you may not be actively doing anything, you could still advance or increase your accumulation. That is the power of promise. Hence, the promise is something like when we call the pratimoksha vows. It's basically you have undertaken a promise. That promise that you're going to change, transform yourselves. Transform yourselves in such a way that you obtain the nirvana in this life at best, if not in the lives after. So this promise you have actually taken, and then if you don't break them, it will be always there to enabling us to become more meritorious and virtuous as we proceed or as we live longer in life. Hence, now the interesting point here is the Vajrayana says, the moment you receive this vows, monastic vows, your entire body will be covered up. Just like we cover our body with a cloth, just like that, some kind of invisible, non-informative type of a body will just take over you and envelop you. It will cover you. Your eyes, nose, mouth, hands, hair, everything. It will develop one kind of a protective shield, which will be with you all the time. And this non-informative body, although it is not visible, not detectable, still it performs the function of not letting your vows to decline. So the point is, as I said earlier, why it happens that once you take the promise, you keep increasing your merits automatically. So Vaibhasikas say there is something called as non-informative body. The day you receive the ordination, it will be merged into your body and mind and speech, and it will be always be there with you. Although this non-informative body could not be detected either through your mind, through your speech, or through your body. So it is invisible, undetectable. That's why it is non-informative. So now, said that we can talk a little bit more about the vows here. In Buddhism, when we call the vows, the shila, it has this connotation that it means only merits. It means only positive and virtuous. So shila doesn't have any negative entity inside it. It should be pure as possible. So the Tibetan term for the word shila we use is dompa, promise, dompa. Dompa is actually positive in all the time. It doesn't have any negative elements inside it. It is pure, it is positive, not just positive, it is meritorious and virtuous. So virtuous and positive, what we call meritorious, that it plays a direct role in somebody's enlightenment, or it enables someone, the practitioners, to get out of the cyclic existence. So that is the function of the dompa, or the vows we are talking about. But the English word vows may not probably carry the entire message or the meaning underlying the word dompa or the shila, because the vow, it could be like bad vows as well, isn't it? Non-virtuous vows can also be there. Wrong promise, for example. Those are the like we call a dompa and dommin. Dompa means the Shila, and Dome means not the Shila. So anti-Shila, we could say that now. Dompa and Dome, basically the vow and the anti-vow. So I'm just considering the word vow, although it could be interpreted in a negative way as well. But here, considering they are equal to this word Shila and Dompa, then let's say Dompa as a positive and a meritorious and virtuous aspect, whereas its counterpart, the opposite, is anti, vow. So anti-vow versus vow. So who has the vows? Only the holds the 7 or 8 types of monastic and ordinations for the laity and the monastics now. And said that who possess the anti-vows. Now, anti-vows, in a sense, just the opposite of vow, negative in a negative way. Anti-vows in a negative way. So, in the Vinaya, it says the people who possess the anti-vows, that vow, or like anti-vows bearers, are actually the soldiers, the people who are in the army, Sangha, and the Sangha community means like it's a group, isn't it? Group of spiritual practitioners. And then